days. The one get that the players keep on getting on all these lockouts is shorter training camps. That's kind of like the one every year they we'll lock them out, but we'll give you 2 less days. And so it's just a really short training camp compared to where it used to be. It sometimes it feels like it flies. I remember when I first started covering the league, you'd actually spend your first week writing about prospects because you needed something to kind of hold you over so you had enough stories to write later in camp. And now it's like, you barely hit on the prospects. Like, I'd love to sit there and waste time in training camp and do stories on some of these minor leaguers that actually are great personalities and things like that. But, you really got to hit the ground running with writing about the team.
It's funny, the NFL is going through this massive debate. Would you rather have quarterbacks upright, healthy, and producing huge numbers, or would you rather have violence in the game where people can hit them as hard as they want? Mm-hmm. And ratings are up, quarterbacks are playing great, passing numbers are up, and you still have some traditionalists saying, hey, I still want to see the quarterback's head crushed twice a game. Is that correlated to what hockey has been through with trying to figure out what the right amount of violence in the game is?
Well, I think that the one thing, it's such a different league that when, the Tom Wilson thing happens the other day, you just start to, that to me is why it's such a huge story, is because years ago, that stuff used to happen all the time. Right. So it just, Scott's, now it's the friendly league. Nino the other night was skating through the middle of the ice. It was either him skating or somebody else. It was him skating into the offensive zone in Colorado, and somebody was coming at him, and it was actually Zadorov. I'm like, oh my God, and it's Zadorov, who's one of their hardest hitting, some would say borderline defensemen, and he pulls up. And years ago, Scott Stevens would have made Nino, he would have sent him into Fort Collins. And and so that's why the thing the other night with the Tom Wilson play, it's kind of like the same thing. And I do think that these players now, it is the no-hitting league. Some of these guys, when they start across east-west along the blue line, they don't get crushed. And, I still think that there's a place, if you hit them cleanly, that, if you carry the puck in that center of ice, you should expect to get hit. But this league is much different than it used to be from that standpoint. But I also think that in terms of the one thing that I think the league has done a really good job of is gotten rid of the egregious headshots. Now when you see the Tom Wilson play, when you see the Rafi Torres type of plays, it's such a newsworthy thing. And that's why sometimes I know a lot of times I kind of sound like an apologist for the Department of Player Safety, and I get that everybody thinks that they throw darts at the wall with terms of supplemental discipline and things like that. But their job is to improve the safety in the NHL, and by them going after the Rule 48, and by them going after and getting these guys to stop hitting in the head, they've pretty much eliminated that from the game, and I think that's a good thing. And and I do think fans want it. Sometimes, though, it was interesting with the Adam Thielen thing the other day. Mm-hmm. Oh my God! Just reading Twitter, I immediately went when the refs took him out of the game, or when actually the concussion protocol people called down to the refs to take him out of the game. Fans were going bonkers. Yep. And I'm like, these are the same fans that are proponents of making sure these guys don't become vegetables when they're 40 and 50 and 60 years old.
I'm not sure they're the same. I think there are fans out there who think that violence is the price you pay for playing football, and they're okay with the players getting hurt badly. I think there's I tell you what, the Twitter responses I get anytime I write about player safety is basically, don't put. Yeah. I won't even repeat the kind of stuff, but the attitude is, I want my violence. Yeah. Screw the rest.
I get it. I do think that it's funny. I just not head stuff, but there's a player on the Vikings that's a stud for them that I've become friendly with. And he's a young person, and when he walks like he's 55 years old. And I'm just like, what is this guy going to be in 5, 6, 7 years? Mm-hmm. And that's that. I'm not talking head stuff with him. I'm talking about legs, just getting up out of a chair and watching him walk across the room. And that's the type of thing that I think the most fans should see, and would realize that, that's not something to celebrate if these guys have short careers because they got see their violence.
That's the thing. I started covering the Vikings in 1990, and I know a lot of the guys I covered back then, and it's remarkable when you find one who doesn't have health problems. Like
Yeah.
I see John Randall. I'm like, my God, you actually like you used to look. And you're walking around, you're playing golf. That's great. But man, he's the exception.
Yeah.
He's absolutely the exception.
He's a beauty. That guy. I finally met him at my charity wiffle ball game.
Cool.
Over Labor Day weekend, and what a
John's a good dude.
Yeah, what a beaut.
Absolutely. Let's thank WizKids.tech. Michael Thannert's local company, not very far from here. It's another great Minnesota company we work with and we can vouch for. Let WizKids.tech, WHIZKIDS.tech, be your chief technology ally.
Hello, Minnesota sports fans. This is Michael Thanner, founder and CEO of WizKids. WizKids is a Minneapolis-based managed IT, hosted VoIP, and cloud services provider. Businesses today require fast response times, skilled support staff, clear communication, and technology recommendations that align with their business goals. At WizKids, we do this each and every day with our clients. When you call into our help desk for support or work with one of our higher-level engineers on a complex issue, you'll find our staff personable and ready to roll up their sleeves to help you solve your technology problems. Reach out to WizKids today to find out how we can help your business meet your technology goals. Visit us online at WizKids.tech. That's WizKids.tech. WizKids, make it happen.
Somebody mentioned pickle pizza earlier, Michael.
Oh, nice.
I think it was Vicky. And she was saying we thought of you.
Nice. Yeah, I should. That sounds like right up my alley. Actually, that sounds terrible.
Maybe drip a little candle wax on it to be perfect for you. Give me an idea of lineups. I don't want you to go through the whole thing, but just what should we be interested in?
Well, I mean, same lineup to start the season as day one of training camp, which never happens, right? The only real change is that on Thursday night, there's no doubt in my mind that J.T. Brown will not be playing and Matt Hendricks will, although that might have happened anyway. Bruce just loves Matt, and the other thing that Bruce remembers is he still genuinely believes that the other night when Zadorov was running around, when Hendricks took a run at him and then tried to basically go with him, that changed the game, and the Wild were able to rally back from a couple goals down and force overtime in that game. That game, by the way, was not nearly as bad as the shot clock made it look, even early. If the Wild were playing with their 6D that were going to be in, they didn't play really with any of their D that are going to be in the lineup Thursday. If you consider that Jonas Brodin and Matt Dumba were like in another world that game, it was as bad as you'll ever see them play. Like every shift in the second and third period, it was remarkable to the point that Bruce even said after the game, I couldn't even put them together on the ice anymore. It was just that much of a disaster. So hopefully that'll change. Although those two never seem to play well. Not to go off on an aside, but those two never seem to play well in Colorado.
The whole show's an aside. It's okay.
Yeah, that's cool. But Zucker, Stahl, Granlund, Parisi, Koivu, Niederreiter, Eriksson Ek, Greenway, and Charlie Coyle. Although Greenway missed practice today because he's ill, but the entire team is ill right now. And then they'll go Foligno, Fair, and Hendricks and Fair can take draws on the fourth line. JT will be the extra. Then it'll be Suter and Dumba, Spurgeon and Brodin, and opposite there, Brodin and Spurgeon, and then Sealer and Patter and Prosser will be the extra. Doobie and goal, Stalock as his backup, and that's the team. Luke Cunnin starting on IR. Gustav Olsen will clear waivers tomorrow, and there you go.
Is this illness something to be worried about?
They have a couple days to get better. I mean, it is just everybody is nasally and sick in that room, and they all say they think it was from being. I mean, it was 30 degrees and snowing apparently up in Camp Ripley the other day, and they flew up there in a couple Chinooks with the windows down or the back of it down. So they just feel like they all kind of got sick from that, but. Guys, listening to them talk today, it was hilarious. Just go on wild.com and, listen to, look, I don't know if it's on there, if they got video, but listen to Nate Prosser and Alex Stalock talk. It's like Kermit the Frog, the way they were it's just funny. Everybody. Greenway missed practice because of it, but about a dozen guys were under the weather.
I was wondering why we didn't have many live questions, but everybody's eating. But once you finish up your meal, you head over to the mic and ask Michael whatever you want.
Oh, my God.
Here we go. I guess while Vicky's got Phillips questions lined up and ready to go.
Granny's a superstar.
Tell you what, while Vicky's getting ready, let me tell you a little bit more about our Bike Squad deal. Bike Squad's the newest sponsor of the Talk North Podcast Network. delivering food from hundreds of Twin Cities restaurants. Order online at bitesquad.com or download their app. Get food to your door in minutes, and for a limited time, they're offering free delivery to our listeners on their first order by using the code TALKNORTH, one word, TALKNORTH. Bite Squad, food for your mood delivered. And again, you want to order some Delano's, that's even better. Vicki.
I actually have some of my own questions this time.
Oh, wow. This is dangerous, Michael.
Okay, but first I'm very proud to represent Philip. So here we go. We all know that Bruce won't keep the lines constant for any length of time. When it is time for a new spark in the lineup, what do you think about Parisi flipping with Zucker and going with Stahl and Granlund? Do you think their styles would blend well together?
Well, they played a bit together last year, if I remember correctly, Stahl and Parisi, and it wasn't the greatest. Parisi, it took him a while to get going last year, and every single line that he was on just turned into, defensive issues and things like that until he got up with Mikko, who had a great year defensively. And so, look, as you said, anytime that he shortens the bench or changes things up, he's going to mix and match. And yeah, I mean, that's one where it would be an easy change, obvious fix and things like that. We've seen Zucker and Mikko look great in the past. Zucker seems to play well with a lot of different guys. Nino plays well with everybody. He seems to drive the possession on most lines. So, I think this year he's got plenty to work with. Even Eric Fehr the other night, he looks like somebody. I wrote in my story today on Fehr that I had to refresh my memory when I started looking up his numbers. His last year of junior in 2004-05, he scored 59 goals and 111 points to lead the Western Hockey League in both those categories. So he has skill. He's a big, powerful forward, right shot, which is exciting to watch. He had a scoring chance the other night that Grubauer made an exceptional save on, or that game would have been tied earlier than it was. And just if you read my story today, read Boudreau's quotes on Eric Fehr, you just know that there's going to be a lot of times we're going to see late in games. Maybe all of a sudden he doesn't want to play the rookies, and it'd be easy to move him up in that situation. I can almost guarantee you that late in tight games, we will see Greenway getting less ice time and Eric Fehr moving up to that third line, and maybe even Eriksson Ek taking a step back, depending on what's going on. If Bruce wants to cut down to 9 forwards.
Do you think we might see Nino on the left of Stahl and Granlund?
That's another option. Nino likes playing offensively, coming down the right wing. But for him to like that, like I even said to him the other day, you need to shoot more. Like, it's one thing if you're going to play the right side coming in the offensive zone because you have that opportunity to shoot, do it. But he just seems to be allergic to taking that shot that we've seen anymore. To me, vintage Nino is him coming down that right wing for the game-winning goal in 14 in Denver, and we just don't see that type of play anymore. He did play a little left wing the other night in Denver. He loved the spin move. He probably did that spin move coming into the zone like 4 different times, and one scored on it. So I think it was huge for him to score the other night too, because he was back in that, I'm not feeling good about myself stage.
I see JT Brown stayed up. Reed went down.
Mm-hmm.
I know Reed looked really good during training camp and into the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
What is JT Brown going to bring? Because I haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, he had a breakaway the other night in Colorado. I think he's definitely a better skater, grittier, things like that. I think that probably JT at this stage definitely needs to just chillax. I'm sure that Bruce is in his head. I mean, even after the game in Colorado the other night, Bruce was giving it to him. And so I think Bruce wants to just let JT know that there's more in the tank and that we have these other guys, Rao and Reed, that maybe he personally would have rather kept. And so you are on guard here, and so give more. JT, when he was a college player, showed offensive skill. He looked awesome that Frozen Four here in St. Paul, and so you'd love to see more of that. But this is somebody a couple years ago when the Lightning went as far as they did. I mean, he was a big part of that team that went to the Stanley Cup final, and so they want to see that. So, but he's probably not going to play right now. He's going to need to prove himself into a lot to Bruce, I think, to play. And he needs to work hard on practice too. That means staying on the ice later and arriving earlier and things like that. Bruce sees that. The other day, Bruce was well aware that JT was third guy off the ice. And that's the type of thing JT probably needs to